A quick comment before we start this video. The gameplay trailers, visuals, and audio that you're about to watch or hear are not my own. They belong to other YouTube creators or to Funimation and associated companies. I do not take any ownership of any intellectual property that will be presented here, as it is a mere fun project about an anime series that I love. Now, on with the video. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Ayes and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today's video will give me the monumental task of ranking every Dragon Ball Z game in existence from worst to best. This list will be extremely biased, as the placement of each of the 84 titles will be based on my enjoyment of the game, or lack thereof. Before we begin, there are some rules that must be iterated. First, I will not include TV or arcade games, as I do not have access to them. Secondly, any other game that you do not see on the list was ignored for a similar reason as the TV and arcade titles. Lastly, I'm talking from the perspective of an adult who has played the oldest titles on this list in the past several months. If a few of them end up at the bottom of the list, keep in mind that I do not have the experience of playing those games when they were released. As it is my list, feel free to share your top Dragon Ball games in the comment section. Without further ado, let's rank every Dragon Ball video game to date, from worst to best. Number 84, Dragon Ball Z Collectible CD Picture Cards for the PC. We're starting with a game that, in a similar fashion to the next pick, I wouldn't consider as a video game. Dragon Ball Z Collectible CD Picture Card is a platform to collect cards for 10 different characters: Goku, Gohan, Krillin, Piccolo, Bulma, Trunks, Frieza, Vegeta, Cell, and Garlic Jr. It is supposed to be a visual representation of the real-life cards, but it could have been done for free through an application. It is the only quote-unquote game that was released on the Macintosh, which is a shame for that specific platform. There is no reason to own Dragon Ball Z Collectible CD Picture Cards. You may as well just collect the actual cards. Number 83, Dragon Radar. I would not consider Dragon Radar Mobile as a video game per se, which is why I'm placing it close to the bottom of the list. As a handheld LCD game in the same veins as Tamagotchi back in the day, it's an electronic toy that is shaped like a Dragon Radar. It does include two modes. The first is a searching minigame where you have to, shockingly I know, find the Dragon Balls. The other is a battle game, which is forgettable, as most of your time will be spent on the former mode. Dragon Radar Mobile isn't terrible, but it is clearly gimmicky and, as stated earlier, it is technically not a video game. Number 82, Dragon Ball Z Manga Cassetto for the Design Masters Senshi Mangajuku. The next two games play like a Nintendo DS title, but they are so basic and simple that you will get bored after 2 minutes. I understand the limitations of the hardware at the time, but that fact actually doesn't excuse this simplicity. as Dragon Ball games for the Nintendo Entertainment System, a console that was released prior to Dragon Ball Z Manga Casseto's release, offers much better gameplay than this one. Let's focus on the pick at hand though. Manga Cassetto is a black and white title where you use a stylus to fight Goku with a random character. This action of continuously tapping the screen on one character to fight another singular character repeats itself for the entire title, and boredom succumbs incredibly quickly. Number 81, Dragon Ball Z Taisen Kata Game Cassetto for the Design Master Senshi Maganjuku. The same points from the previous pick can be said for Dragon Ball Z Taisen Kata Game Cassetto. There isn't much of a difference between either game since both of them take place during the Majin Buu saga. As a result, we'll keep this pick short and sweet. If you already have access to the Design Master Senshi Maganjuku and can find number 82 or number 81 on the list for a cheap price, you may want to see what all the hullabaloo is about. Otherwise, there is no need to go out of your way to give either of these games a chance. Number 80, Dragon Ball Z Gaiden, Shin Saijin Zetsumetsu Keikaku, Uchu Hen for the Playdia. The next two games cover the side story planned to eradicate the Saiyans. It is an interactive movie where you make certain narrative choices. If they are the wrong choices, you may get one or two endings, which is cool for a video game that was released in 1994. It is clear though that there is no true gameplay in this title. You are watching an anime and every once in a while, you make a narrative choice. Uchu N is the sequel to the next pick on the list, and the reason why Uchu N is higher on the list is because you see the hero's confrontation with a true powerful antagonist. This story isn't covered on the well-known anime, so it is cool to see the confrontation. Nevertheless, you must understand the reality that Dragon Ball Z Gaiden, Shin Saijin Zetsumetsu Keikaku Uchu N does not have any noteworthy gameplay. Number 79, Dragon Ball Z Gaiden, Shin Saijin Zetsumetsu Keikaku Shikyu En for the Playdia. What I said about Uchu En can be replicated with Dragon Ball Z Shin Saijin Zetsumetsu Keikaku Shikyu En. It still follows the same format, but I just like the narrative in Uchu En more than Shikyu En. As a result, Shikyu En is ranked slightly lower than Uchu En. Number 78, Dragon Ball Dragon Daihikyu for the Super Cassette Vision. Dragon Ball Dragon Daihikyu is, as a matter of fact, the first Dragon Ball console video game to ever be released. It was even released close to the Nintendo Entertainment System's release, so I excuse the simplified gameplay here. However, it is ranked higher than the previous picks because it has, well, gameplay. It is a twin-stick shooter where you ride the Nimbus and attack incoming enemies. Certain characters like Bulma will appear from time to time to aid Goku in his quest to reach the end of the level. You can also upgrade your abilities if you enter training mode with Master Roshi, which changes the twin-stick experience into a fighting game. Dragon Ball Dragon Daihikyu is a decent first outing for the Dragon Ball franchise, but it has nowadays become outdated, which is why it sits at number 78 on the list. Number 77, Dragon Ball Z Buchigiri Match for the mobile. As the first true mobile title on the list, Dragon Ball Z Buchigiri Match is an alright card game. While Dokkan Battle is a better game in general, it doesn't touch Buchigiri's animations. They are absolutely superb. Sadly, from my understanding, this game was shut down last year, which is why I had to place it towards the bottom of the list. Otherwise, I would have placed it higher than the aforementioned Dokkan Battle. Number 76, Dragon Ball Z X Keeper Z for the PC. Just like Buchigiri Match, Dragon Ball Z X Keeper Z is no longer available, which is a shame because it was a great Dragon Ball Z title. You use the mouse to perform every action, but the animations that are played with each action are fantastic for a browser title. I cannot talk in great detail about it because I only played it once or twice back when it was available, but I had a good time with it. Number 75, Dragon Ball Z Goku Hishoden for the Game Boy. Dragon Ball Z Goku Hishoden is a strategy title that allows you to experience a retelling of the 23rd World Martial Arts Tournament, all the way up to the finale of the Saiyan saga. Most of the narrative is illustrated via text, and when fights do happen, you're showcased a grid where you must choose the correct actions to either inflict damage or deflect incoming damage. The system works well enough for an original Game Boy title, but the pacing of the grid format can make the gameplay a tad tedious. The still pictures after choosing your actions are cool, but they weren't enough to save the game's monotonous nature. Number 74, Dragon Ball Z, Goku Gekido for the Game Boy. The sequel to Hishoden, Goku Gekido improved the battle system by ditching the grid system and going into a real-time action environment. You still must choose the correct actions, but then you're taken into an open area where you must perform the actions while dodging enemy attacks. It does make the game more engaging as a result. I wish that Gekido covered more than the Frieza saga, but I'll take it for what it was at the moment. A lot of the games on the list were only released in Japan. Goku Gekido is the first on the list, which I would not mind a release in the States. Number 73, Dragon Ball Z, Gekido Tenkaichi Budokai for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Aesthetically, Gekido Tenkaichi Budokai is the first fighting game on the list. There are 25 playable characters and you're free to jump around the stage and fight various opponents. However, there is a massive catch with this title. In order to choose a character, you must scan a trading card that is associated with the title. In fact, there are no playable characters in the game by default. You must scan the cards to bring Goku, Tien, and other Z fighters to the game. If you have Gekido Tenkaichi Budokai but no trading cards, you may as well grab a bucket of popcorn and watch the TV screen because you are not playing this game. Number 72, Super Gokuden Totsugeki N for the Super Nintendo. The next two games follow the same formula. You experience a certain era of Dragon Ball Z, make minor narrative choices, and utilize a unique combat system to defeat your foes. The combat's action places you and your opponent on a grid, and once your character moves to the center and flashes, you can attack your foe. The pacing takes a beating during these fights, as you cannot do anything offensive until your character reaches the center of the stage and flashes. However, I like the character designs during combat, and the story choices offer additional fights that allow me to practice the combat system. Super Gokuden Totsugeki N covers most of Dragon Ball. The next pick continues from that point onward. Number 71, Super Gokuden Kakusei Hen for the Super Nintendo. Super Gokuden Kakusei continues the story of the preceding pick and wraps up its own tale during the Frieza saga. Although the title structure is the same in both games, Gokuden Kakusei makes two slight improvements. On one hand, the character models look a little better in this game than Super Gokuden Totsugeki N. On the other hand, additional combat moves are added to your arsenal, including Kamehameha, Solar Flare, or a general counterattack. Plus, Gohan is also a playable character. The pacing issues aren't going anywhere, but it is the better game of the Super Gokuden series. Number 70, Dragon Ball Z collectible card game for the Game Boy Advance. Unlike the collectible card picture game for the computer that isn't a video game in my eyes, Dragon Ball Z collectible card game for the Game Boy Advance is actually a digital card game. The mechanics are easily explained and you unlock more cards as you defeat more and more powerful foes. It is not the best anime-based card game that I have ever played. That distinction goes to Yu-Gi-Oh! World Championship 2004 for the same system. However, if you like the real-life counterpart of the Dragon Ball Z cards, the Game Boy Advance version wouldn't be a bad choice for the next playthrough. Number 69, Anime Designer, Dragon Ball Z for the Apple Pippin. Yes, Anime Designer isn't really a video game. Why is it at the number 69 on the list? It is because I enjoyed the Dragon Ball Z version of Anime Designer. You have a nice selection of stages and you can use up to 1000 images to create pretty illustrations of established Dragon Ball Z moments or your own ideas. It is a very biased opinion, but I don't think I could place Anime Designer Dragon Ball Z higher or lower on the list. Number 68, Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle for the mobile. It may be a mobile game, but Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle surpasses every other card game that has been covered thus far. The quantity of content is impressive, the visuals are great, and there is a true sense of strategy with every move that you make in this game. My major complaint, aside from the microtransactions of course, is the combat system after you choose the desired cards. It follows the same format as that one mobile game where you have different colored balls and you must connect balls with a similar color to eliminate them and bring the stack towards the bottom. I would take a combat system where you simply tap the characters and they fight. Utilizing the mechanic in Dokkan Battle is lazy if you ask me. The game is okay, but that colored circle based mechanic is not engaging at all. Number 67, Dragon Ball, Shenron no Nazo for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Think about the original Legend of Zelda game for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Dragon Ball Shenron no Nazo is the Dragon Ball equivalent. If you have never played the original Zelda game like me, no problem. It is an action RPG title where you roam around the world, fight enemies with real-time fighting mechanics, and pummel on various bosses. On paper it sounds great. However, I think that Shenron no Nazo is low on the list because I was never a fan of the original Legend of Zelda game to begin with, which makes the Shenron no Nazo's ranking understandable. I acknowledge that it is a more polished experience than the previous picks, but the repetitive nature of the fights ultimately led to the game's literal downfall on the list. Number 66, Dragon Ball GT Final Bout for the PlayStation 1. The bottom of the barrel for many people's pick for the worst Dragon Ball game, Dragon Ball GT Final Bout misses the mark on various levels. The voiceovers are atrocious.
You can't beat me! I can tell without fighting you!
Hurry up and show me your real strength!
The visuals for the energy blasts look awful. The fluctuating difficulty spikes are annoying. With that being said, I would personally play it over the previous entries because it is indeed a fighting game, and I can find a few spots of enjoyment from learning the mechanics and performing combos. I would be miserable for 95% of my experience, but those 5% are semi-competent. Nevertheless, there are much better choices for a Dragon Ball fighting game than Dragon Ball GT Final Bout. Number 65, Dragon Ball Daimao Fukatsu for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Dragon Ball Daimao Fukatsu serves as the initial building block for the best Dragon Ball card game of all time, which we will cover later in this video. For now, let's talk about that building block. Taking place during the King Piccolo era of Dragon Ball, you experience the story while being placed on the board map. As you attempt to reach your destination, you encounter one or two scenarios. A character that will give you information about what you're supposed to do, or B, characters that you must defeat. To accomplish the latter, you use randomized cards that have different stats, different effects, and different uses. Putting the cards into action creates some nice animations, but those animations could have been more fleshed out, since there is a Dragon Ball Z game on the Nintendo Entertainment System that has some truly impressive visuals during the action sequences. Like I said, Dragon Ball Daimao Fukatsu is the building block of something greater, so I won't harp too much on it. Number 64, Dragon Ball 3 Gokuden for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Dragon Ball 3 Gokuden baffles me. It has the most refined card system in the trilogy, and it has better animations than Dragon Ball Daimao Fukatsu, but it tosses away the awesome fight sequences of the second title, Dragon Ball Kyoshu Saiyan. I have no idea why. Don't get me wrong, I still had a good amount of fun with this game, more so than Daimao Fukatsu. However, I cannot help but think to myself, man, if this game had the battle animations from the second title in the trilogy, Dragon Ball 3 Gokuden would have been great. Number 63, Dragon Ball Evolution for the PlayStation Portable. The saving grace of Dragon Ball Evolution is the combat system, which resembles the underrated Shin Budokai titles on the PlayStation Portable. Everything else about the Evolution though is a far cry from the word evolution. The visuals are terrible, the story is mind-bogglingly bad, which the same can be said about its movie counterpart. The cutscenes are hilarious, but in a very disappointing way. The roster also doesn't make sense half of the time. I get it, the developers wanted to include as many characters as possible. Let's keep it real though. Do you really expect anyone to believe that Bulma can take on Goku? Power scaling aside, some of the choices in the character roster made me laugh. I will say the following. If you want to experience the narrative of Dragon Ball Evolution, play the game instead of watching the movie. At least the former has an entertaining combat system, whereas the latter has no entertainment value whatsoever. Number 62, Dragon Ball Z, Buyu Retsuden for the Sega Genesis. Dragon Ball Z Buyu Retsuden is the first Butoden-like fighting game. It includes a decent roster, good visuals for the Sega Genesis, and the soundtrack was alright. With that being said, there are two components that hold this game back from being anywhere near the top tier section of this list. On one hand, the modes are very lackluster. There's an arcade-like mode where you choose a character and go up against other characters. The other mode is local multiplayer or single fight battles against a computer. It may be hardware limitations, but I wish that the arcade mode incorporated some kind of story like the first Super Butoden title for the Super Nintendo. On the other hand, the controls are clunky. Jumping around feels off and pulling off special moves like a Kamehameha is tricky. As the only Sega Genesis title on this list, Dragon Ball Z Buyu Retsuden is serviceable. Number 61, Dragon Ball Tap Battle for the mobile. Dragon Ball Tap Battle's major selling point is the visuals, which look fantastic for a mobile title. The character models, the movement, and the animation of the special attacks are visually appealing. However, the game's title should tell you everything you need to know about the combat system. You tap. You tap the enemy to attack him or her. You tap various points in the environment to dodge to those locations. Dragon Ball Tap Battle is a game for mobile, so it makes sense that all you do is tap the phone, but it made the game the epitome of a button masher. I don't see myself returning to this game very often. Number 60, Dragon Ball Z Taiketsu for the Game Boy Advance. Oh boy, Dragon Ball Z Taiketsu is an interesting case. The array of characters and stages is great for a Game Boy Advance title. The inclusion of endurance and time challenge modes is also cool, and changed the strategies during the fights. However, there is no denial that the characters look like Play-Doh. The controls are terrible, and the animations are not good. Taiketsu is my guilty pleasure pick for this list, since I played it a lot as a kid and enjoyed it. When you compare it to a lot of the games that came after and before Taiketsu, it misses the target on various levels. Number 59, Dragon Ball Ultimate Swipe for the mobile. Suffering from a similar problem as Dragon Ball Tap Battle, Dragon Ball Ultimate Swipe's simplified combat system hurts the longevity. It does have better visuals than Tap Battle, which is why Ultimate Swipe is ranked a tad higher on the list. With that in mind, the lackluster roster and stages, as well as unique character models and music, all of which were recycled from Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi Tag Team on the PlayStation Portable, cannot reward Dragon Ball Ultimate Swipe a spot higher than number 59. Number 58, Dragon Ball Z Kinect for the Xbox 360. The only game that warrants a purchase of the Xbox Kinect is Dance Central. It is an amazing title and it has a leg up over the Just Dance games and the Dance Dance Revolution titles. When it comes to Dragon Ball Z Kinect, it's awesome for about 15 minutes. Once they pass, it becomes very apparent that it is a gimmicky title that copies a lot from Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Keichi for the 7th generation of consoles. It's a decent workout for sure, as you keep punching the air and occasionally create the proper motion to perform numerous special attacks. It is, though, a pure cash grab for the Kinect. I'm a fan of Dragon Ball Z. I can find some entertainment from Dragon Ball Z Kinect. Most people won't be able to make the same statement. Number 57, Dragon Ball Z 2 Gekkishan Frieza for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Even though it features the same board game concept from Dragon Ball Daimao Fukatsu, Dragon Ball Z 2 Gekkishan Frieza includes incredible animations for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Set in the Frieza saga, you use various characters to advance through the board and fight several villains and their minions with unique and randomized cards. I boasted about the animations, but I need to do it again because these beautiful action sequences immensely help with the immersion of the game. It is amazing that Gekkishan Frieza does not cover the battle with Frieza after the use of the Spirit Bomb, but after I completed the game, I was ready for the next iteration with similar mechanics. Number 56, Dragon Ball Z Idainaru Son Goku Densetsu for the TurboGrafx 16. Dragon Ball Z Idainaru Son Goku Densetsu is the surprise title on the list. It includes beautifully drawn out cutscenes and a cool combat system where you choose between offense, defense, powering up, or running, and the game will play out the fighting sequence in accordance to the action you chose and the action your opponent chose. I enjoyed the heck out of this game, but I can attest that it doesn't have the meat that is needed in a video game. It is light years better than the Cassetto games from the bottom of the list, but let's keep it a buck. A Dainaru Sengoku Densetsu is a more interactive movie than an actual fighting game. Number 55, Super Dragon Ball Z for the PlayStation 2. Prior to making the list, there was only one PlayStation 2 Dragon Ball game that I have not played, Super Dragon Ball Z. It has plenty of modes and characters, and the visuals are unique in comparison to other PlayStation 2 titles on the list. Unfortunately, it is bogged down by several disappointments, the biggest of which is the lack of story mode. Its main mode is called Original, but it is a typical arcade mode where you pick a character, run down 7 enemies, and wrap up your experience with a battle against Cell. Other downsides include janky controls and downgraded visuals when it comes to the special attacks. Super Dragon Ball Z is more akin to the Street Fighter games or the general Super Bhutan titles, but its content's quantity is saving the title from being forced further down the list due to the content's quality. Number 54, Dragon Ball Z Sagas for the Gamecube. I have come to acknowledge that, as a kid, I was way too forgiving on video games that do not deserve nearly as much praise. Dragon Ball Z Sagas is dangerously boring. Every character plays the exact same, the environments look like a PlayStation 1 title, and the bosses are a joke. Initially, you can get excited from the possibility of unlocking additional characters, but, just like I said a few moments ago, they play the same. Dragon Ball Z Sagas is another guilty pleasure of mine, as I can play it when I need mindless fun, but it is nowhere near the quality of the next Dragon Ball games on the list. Number 53, Dragon Ball Z 3, Resen Jinzoningen for the Nintendo Entertainment System. The Dragon Ball Z time frame that Resen Jinzoningen covers doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It starts off with the Super Saiyan Goku vs Frieza fight, and it ends after the bout between Piccolo and Imperfect Cell. Nevertheless, the game maintains the amazing animations of Gekkishan Frieza, and power levels are missing, which adds to the tension from each battle. It also includes a match against Cooler, which is nice because Cooler is not covered in the anime unless you watch the Villains 2 films. Aside from the disappointing time frame, Resen Jinzoningen is pretty decent. Number 52, Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi for the PlayStation 3. Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Tenkaichi is the worst Budokai Tenkaichi title in the franchise. It may have gameplay mechanics that set it apart from the Budokai Tenkaichi games, like the rock paper scissors concept for special attacks, but it is clear that it borrows inspiration from those titles. In addition to the acceptable combat system, the visuals showcase great shadow features, and the remastered scenes from the anime are absolutely stellar. All of these features don't change my opinion of the game though, which is overall disheartening. The fighting mechanics are simplified from the Budokai Tenkaichi titles, and the rock paper scissors aspect loses its charm after several sessions and lead to problematic pacing, particularly when you play against other people. Ultimate Tenkaichi isn't a bad game, but I will play the other Budokai Tenkaichi games more than the game that inspired Dragon Ball Z Connect. Number 51, Dragon Ball GT Transformation for the Game Boy Advance. Dragon Ball GT Transformation reminded me of titles such as Double Dragon and Final Fight. It is a side-scrolling beat-em-up based on the early portions of Dragon Ball GT. Using Goku, Pan, and Trunks, you fight against waves and waves of enemies, capping off the experience against Baby. The combat will become very repetitious, but it has quite the extensive catalog of modes for a Game Boy Advance game, which can be unlocked with points that are earned through regular gameplay. Assuming you won't get burnt out by what many would consider as monotonous gameplay, you can have some fun with Dragon Ball GT Transformation. Number 50, Dragon Ball Z Gaiden, Saijin Zetsumetsu Keikaku for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Similar to previously covered Nintendo Entertainment System card games with awesome animations, Saijin Zetsumetsu Keikaku's biggest appeal is the original story that doesn't appear in the anime or the manga. I don't want to talk too much about it to avoid spoilers, but it was a breath of fresh air because I didn't know what to expect from the narrative. Saijin Zetsumetsu Keikaku is the last Dragon Ball game for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and aside from the typical issues that I already described in previous entries, which feature similar gameplay, it is the first pick on this list that I would recommend you should play, despite its old release date. Number 49, Dragon Ball Z Harukanaru Densetsu for the Nintendo DS. As disappointed as I am by the lack of actual combat sequences in this game, Harukanaru Densetsu is a good game that pays tribute to the majority of card-based Dragon Ball games that we already covered. The actual board looks a lot more stylish than the Nintendo Entertainment System counterparts. The different character sprites are great, and there's a lot of content in this game, as it covers the Saiyan saga all the way through the end of the Cell saga. Since the Nintendo Entertainment System included card games with animated battle sequences after you choose the desired cards, it is too bad that a game for the Nintendo DS, which is a system that was released 19 years afterwards, does not have any stunning graphics. It's a fun game, but it isn't as memorable as the next pick on the list. Number 48, Dragon Ball Z Kyoshu Saiyan for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Dragon Ball Z Kyoshu Saiyan is the best card-based Dragon Ball Z game on the Nintendo Entertainment System. It has several playable characters, large open areas for the boards themselves, and wonderful animations to boot. It is kind of odd that the story starts off after the Raditz battle, leaving the fight against Goku's brother on the sidelines. Nevertheless, this game was very solid for a game from 1990. Number 47, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi for the PlayStation 2. Coming after the Budokai trilogy on the same platform, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi was a nice change of pace. The number of characters was staggering, the switch to 3D gameplay was engrossing, and the inclusion of numerous gameplay modes would keep you playing for a long time if you decide to give this title the time of day. All of these positive compliments may be off-putting, since this game is at the number 47 spot on this list. The main reason isn't game breaking, but it is something that made the next 46 games more preferable to play. All of the characters, with the exception of Giant Fighters, play the exact same. Each of them has different special attacks, sure, but you can use the same strategies for most of the playable participants. The next two games in the trilogy improved on this nitpicking, but it is more problematic here. At the same time though, I am considering Budokai Tenkaichi as the stepping stone for one of my favorite Dragon Ball Z games of all time, so that's a minor spoiler for you all. Number 46, Dragon Ball Online for the PC. The only major Dragon Ball massively multiplayer online role-playing game in existence, Dragon Ball Online evaded my grasp for years. I have owned a laptop for a long time and it was not powerful enough to run Dragon Ball Online. Once I purchased a desktop computer, I downloaded Dragon Ball Online a week later and became enthralled for several sessions. The character creation is decent, the number of playable missions is great, and the combat system is reminiscent of other MMORPGs such as Silk Road Online and World of Warcraft. However, the game structure as an MMORPG prevents it from being authentic to the manga or anime, as the battles are slow-paced, unlike other games on the list. If you're looking for an MMORPG and are interested in Dragon Ball, check out Dragon Ball Online. Otherwise, I will play other MMORPGs like Silk Road and World of Warcraft. Number 45, Dragon Ball RPG Shonen Hen for the mobile. Dragon Ball RPG Shonen Hen resembles the combat system of the original Final Fantasy titles. If you enjoyed those games, you will like this title. The animations are pretty good, the story is presented in an engaging way, and the quantity of enemies is fantastic for a mobile title. It is a Japan-only exclusive, which is why Shonen Hen is ranked at the halfway point of the list. It is successful at what it sets out to accomplish and would have been higher on the list if it was made available in other countries besides Japan. Number 44, Dragon Ball Z Super Butoden 3 for the Super Nintendo. The third game in the Super Butoden trilogy for the Super Nintendo, Dragon Ball Z Super Butoden 3 is the most mainstream title in the pack. The gameplay is easy to learn and hard to master, and inclusion of characters from the Buu saga was much needed, since it wasn't done in the second title. Unfortunately, it is the worst pick in the trilogy for a couple of reasons. First, there is a noticeable lack of content. The number of fighters was downsized from the first two titles, and there is no story mode. The other reason focuses on the combat system. It is the most mainstream system in the trilogy, but it can be exploited and make the game a little too easy. We will reference this game later down the list when we talk about the other two titles in the trilogy, but Super Butoden 3, while very functional, could have used more time in the oven. Number 43, Dragon Ball Z Battle of Z for the PlayStation Vita. I'm not gonna lie, I spent hours and hours with Dragon Ball Z Battle of Z for the PlayStation Vita to attempt and unlock the Platinum Trophy. I was unsuccessful, but I would not have done it if the game wasn't at least semi-fun. It has large stages for the fights, good amount of characters, and great implementation of power-ups via a card equipping system. Plus, you can create a team of Gokus. That's pretty cool. The primary issue lies with the same problem that fatigued the original Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi. Every character essentially plays the exact same. In addition, earning some of the power-up cards relies too much on RNG, aka a randomizer, which would rotate cards weekly. If you want a specific card and you can't get it now, you need to wait a full week by the off chance that it will spawn then. If it wasn't for the online trophies, I will probably replay it and try to earn the Platinum Trophy once again. As it stands now, I'm in no rush to do so. Number 42, Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku for the Game Boy Advance. The first game in the Legacy of Goku trilogy, Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku is placed in the middle of the list mainly due to nostalgia. Aside from nice character models and excellent pacing, the game suffers from a tedious combat system without any sense of progression. There is a leveling up system, but there's never a point where you feel rewarded for grinding levels upon levels, such as being awarded additional attacks. Replaying certain sections to earn more levels may be required at times. The fight against Raditz may be easy, but the fight against Frieza could be troublesome if you do not spend time against regular enemies prior to confronting the Prince of all Saiyans. The first Legacy of Goku title was enjoyable as a kid. In 2020, when I replayed the game, not so much. Number 41, Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22 for the PlayStation 1. Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22 takes the gameplay of the Super Butoden titles from the Super Nintendo and implements better character designs and a much bigger roster. The game also takes some cues from the Super Butoden titles when it comes to the great soundtrack. Nevertheless, the execution of special attacks in the titles from the 1990s is much more visually appealing than the representation here, and there is a severe lack of modes when it comes to Super Butoden 1 and 2. The core fighting mechanics are quite solid, and I would go ahead and say that it is the best pure Dragon Ball Z fighting game on the PlayStation 1. But there are issues that hold it back from greatness. Number 40, Dragon Ball Advance Adventure for the Game Boy Advance. I remember playing the crap out of Dragon Ball Advance Adventure for the Game Boy Advance. I absolutely adored the stunning visuals for the handheld, as well as the addictive action mechanics. When I went back and played it earlier this year, it took me 2 hours to beat it. It may have additional modes that encourage a full price tag, but it is a shame that the quality of the campaign is pummeled by the quantity of my time with the campaign. Picking up Dragon Ball Advance Adventure is a no-brainer, but not for the full price of $40. Number 39, Dragon Ball Origins 2 for the Nintendo DS. The sequel to the first Dragon Ball Origins, Dragon Ball Origins 2 follows the rule of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It has the same visuals, the same sound design, and essentially the same playable characters. Nevertheless, it does improve upon the original Dragon Ball Origins with the implementation of fun boss fights. Those boss fights require some careful planning, as a few hits from them will put you down. They are not overwhelmingly difficult, but they could be displayed as difficulty spikes. All in all, Dragon Ball Origins 2 is a good sequel to the original title. Number 38, Dragon Ball Raging Blast 2 for the PlayStation 3. Dragon Ball Raging Blast 2 follows the same rule that Dragon Ball Origins 2 did. Both Raging Blast games practically play the same, with the sequel offering more characters, reaching more than 100 playable characters. It is also the only platform that will allow you to natively watch the animated version of Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans. Going back to the number of characters though, that feature alone should warrant a full price purchase. Sadly, there is a key reasons why Raging Blast 2 is at the number 38 spot on the list. Whereas the process to unlock characters in Raging Blast 1 is straightforward and nicely paced, unlocking characters in Raging Blast 2 takes an inconvenient amount of time. If you enjoyed the gameplay of Raging Blast 2, playing for hours and hours to unlock everyone may not bother you. After playing for a few hours and barely unlocking a few of the characters, I stopped caring immediately. Number 37, Dragon Ball Revenge of King Piccolo for the Nintendo Wii. I never played Dragon Ball Revenge of King Piccolo up until a week ago. The trailers looked great and the visuals looked amazing, and indeed they are, but I never bothered to purchase it. Now that I have played through it, I'm somewhat glad that I held off on buying it at launch. Let me explain. The retelling of key moments from Dragon Ball is excellent with gorgeous cutscenes. The number of fighters in the versus mode is also nice, and each of them has a semi-unique final attack. These features are all fine and dandy, but the simplicity of the gameplay tells me that it is a game that's made for kids. There is no diversity with different combos or special moves. As I played through the first world, I mashed the kick button while building enough power to execute a Kamehameha. This process never deviated, aside from dodging from time to time during the main boss fight of the first world. If the combat system was more refined, Dragon Ball Revenge of King Piccolo could have been the best Dragon Ball title on the system. It is still a good game, but it lacks any type of challenge. Number 36, Dragon Ball Origins for the Nintendo DS. The first title in the two-part series, Dragon Ball Origins nicely utilizes the stylus pen to control characters and execute attacks. The graphics also look really nice for a Nintendo DS title, and there is a good balance of world exploration and randomized real-time action sequences. It can become monotonous after an hour or so, and I had a few moments where the frame rate slightly dipped. With that being said, Dragon Ball Origins is a good alternative to experience the lore of Dragon Ball, assuming you're okay with controlling everything via the stylus pen. Number 35, Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi Tag Team for the PlayStation Portable. Early on the list, I talked about Dragon Ball Z Budokai and Tenkaichi for the PlayStation 2. What if I told you that not only is there a Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi title on the handheld that looks and plays in a similar fashion, but you can also participate in 2 vs 2 matches? Well, that game exists, and it's called Dragon Ball Z Tenkaichi Tag Team for the PlayStation Portable. There's a story mode that covers the entirety of Dragon Ball Z, and there is a Battle 100 mode where you go through 100 battles with different conditions. Plus, there are 70 playable characters. The frame rate drops here and there if there's too much chaos on the screen, but Tenkaichi Tag Team is a great handled version of the Budokai Tenkaichi game. It has less characters from Budokai Tenkaichi 2 and 3, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make for portability. Number 34, Dragon Ball Z Infinite World for the PlayStation 2. An underrated title by many Dragon Ball Z fans, Dragon Ball Z Infinite World takes certain aspects from the Budokai trilogy and combines them into one package. The game incorporates cutscenes just like Budokai 1, a board-based open-world layout like Budokai 2, and the character and environmental designs from Budokai 3. The mixture has some bright spots, and I should mention that the roster is larger than any other Budokai title. However, I must say that I'm not a fan of the new fighting mechanic that they implemented while removing the tension-filled Hyper Mode and Dragon Rush moves from Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. The new mechanic attempts to replace the Aura system from the Shin Budokai games for the PlayStation Portable. To be frank with you, the PSP games executed the mechanic more efficiently. Dragon Ball Z Infinite World was the last traditional Budokai game ever made for consoles, but it is sadly the worst of the bunch in my opinion. Number 33, Dragon Ball Legends for the mobile. Dragon Ball Legends is undoubtedly the best Dragon Ball title on mobile. The visuals are ridiculously good for the device in question. The gameplay is more similar to the card-based Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, and the amount of content can be staggering. It is a free mobile title, so microtransactions are going to take center stage here. During my playtime though, The good news is that I never felt the need to spend money on microtransactions due to a roadblock because I kept earning more and more powerful cards with regular gameplay. If you're looking for a Dragon Ball game for your phone, Dragon Ball Legends is an excellent choice. Number 32, Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors for the Game Boy Color. The only Dragon Ball Z game on the Game Boy Color for the list, Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors takes some nods from the RPG titles for the Nintendo Entertainment System, and it is not only better than all of those titles, but it covers the entirety of Dragon Ball Z. There are 48 playable characters including transformations, the character sprites and movements look alright for a Game Boy Color title, and there are additional modes, multiplayer and battle mode. Legendary Super Warriors may be the only title for the handheld, but it's a darn good one at that. Number 31, Dragon Ball Heroes Ultimate Mission for the Nintendo 3DS. The next three titles can essentially be compiled into one pick, but I will give the most details here and then briefly showcase the next games, since the only main difference is the increase in roster for each subsequent title. Dragon Ball Heroes Ultimate Mission is a Japan exclusive series that relies on strategic card play to defeat your opponents. The first title for the Nintendo 3DS is wonderful and the graphics for the Nintendo 3DS are top notch. If you do not like card-based titles or cannot read Japanese, you may want to skip to the number 28 spot on the list for a more convenient title. If you can read Japanese and like card-based titles, the Heroes Ultimate Mission trilogy may be much higher on your list. Now, as I mentioned, I will show you some footage of the next two titles without talking about them. Enjoy the compilation. Number 30, Dragon Ball Heroes Ultimate Mission 2 for the Nintendo 3DS. Number 29, Dragon Ball Heroes Ultimate Mission X for the Nintendo 3DS. Number 28, Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission for the Nintendo Switch. Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission brings the Ultimate Mission trilogy to Europe and Western audiences, and I'm so glad that this title exists. The story is engaging and unique. The visuals are reminiscent of the aforementioned trilogy. The amount of cards on deck is insane. Heroes World Mission does a great job of introducing the mechanics to first-timers, which is appreciated since most of the world never played a game like this one. Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission is at the number 28 spot on the list because of the repetitive nature of its combat system and several missions that require some grinding. But it is such a fresh air for the IP to the point that I would specifically like to encourage you to pick it up if you have any interest in Dragon Ball. Number 27, Dragon Ball Z Burst Limit for the PlayStation 3. The first Dragon Ball Z game in the 7th generation of consoles, Dragon Ball Z Burst Limit blew me away with its visuals through the trailers and upon release. Each character looks stunningly beautiful, and the fluidity of the combat system is much appreciated. I would like to mention that I say fluidity with an asterisk. See, one of the new mechanics when comparing this game to the Budokai games of the 6th generation of consoles are these impromptu moments when the fighting stops to showcase a character coming to help you or coming to hinder your progress. They don't actually happen on a random basis. You must complete certain conditions to make them appear. However, it is sometimes unclear what you are supposed to do to utilize these aids in battle. In addition, it places the previously mentioned Hyper and Dragon Rush mechanics from Budokai 3 to the side, like Dragon Ball Z Infinite World, making the matches less intense and visually engrossing as the finale to the Budokai trilogy. I would be open to a sequel for Burst Limit. For now, I don't mind playing the current product from time to time. Number 26, Dragon Ball Raging Blast for the PlayStation 3. As a graphical update to the original Budokai Tenkaichi series, Dragon Ball Z Raging Blast is a solid title in the same veins as the Tenkaichi titles. It still suffers the same issue that the trilogy showcases, meaning the similar nature of the combat system among the majority of the characters. However, Raging Blast makes up for it with an impressive amount of gameplay modes and a good-sized roster of characters. It has less fighters than Budokai Tenkaichi 3, but the characters that are present in Raging Blast are nicely detailed and nicely animated. If you own a PlayStation 3 or an Xbox 360 and you need that Budokai Tenkaichi fix, You can do much worse than the original Raging Blast. Number 25, Dragon Ball Xenoverse for the PlayStation 4. Burst Limit was the first title for the 7th generation of consoles. Xenoverse is the first title for the 8th generation of consoles, and it does not only have an excellent presentation, but also a unique concept. You encounter future Trunks and you accompany him while fixing various moments in Dragon Ball Z's past where the results are different. The fight between Goku, Piccolo, and Raditz ends with Raditz and Goku being killed by Piccolo's special beam cannon. In the alternate timeline, Raditz escapes Goku's clutch, and the hero is the only one who gets killed by the beam. It is a concept that hasn't been done in Dragon Ball Z game prior to Xenoverse, and I really appreciate its execution here. The problem with similar gameplay is kept from the previous entry, and it is clear that Saiyans are overpowered with their Super Saiyan transformations, but Xenoverse isn't half bad at all. Number 24, Dragon Ball Z Shin Budokai Another Road for the PlayStation Portable. The sequel to the original Shin Budokai, Another Road for the PlayStation Portable, makes several improvements over its predecessor. The gameplay is more stylish than ever, the roster is more diverse, and there are in-game transformations as well. There's also a story mode that plugs in the open world traversal from Budokai 3, and the plot itself isn't half bad. Nevertheless, I must deduct some points off the single player component because of ridiculous difficulty spikes. You will fight 4 opponents and crush them with ease. Then you will go to the 5th opponent and he will put a smack-a-down on you. It happens out of nowhere and it bugs down the pacing because now you must fight low level enemies over and over until you are comfortable enough with the combat system and you are powerful enough to conquer the 5th opponent. It is a very solid PlayStation Portable title, but we will discuss the first Shin Budokai title shortly, which in my opinion is the superior product. Number 23, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 for the PlayStation 4. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 has a misleading title. It shouldn't be called Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. It should be called Dragon Ball Xenoverse 1.5. A game that feels like a large piece of downloadable content for the original game. Xenoverse 2 brings back the same visuals, the same sound design, the same combat system, and even the original story. The latter I believe is only applicable for the Nintendo Switch version. With that being said, there is a new story here and it is as ridiculous and fun as Xenoverse 1. I am also happy to see that the Saiyan class was nerfed and there are more characters too. In fact, fighter packs are still coming out to this date, and Xenoverse 2 was released in 2016. Since the gameplay is practically the same from the previous game, you already know about my issues with Xenoverse 2. It is better than Xenoverse 1, but it certainly feels too similar to its prequel. Number 22, Dragon Ball Z Super Butoden for the Super Nintendo. The very first Super Butoden title, Dragon Ball Z Super Butoden for the Super Nintendo, has some great character designs and a game-changing narrative. Prior to any fight during the story mode, you can choose between a number of characters. Your choice will not only result in one of 2 storylines, but a character will not appear in the subsequent bouts if he dies. Super Butoden 1 should be higher on the list based on the content alone, but it is not friendly for first-timers with its difficulty setting. Super Butoden 3 was too easy. Super Butoden 1 is too hard. It took me a while to just get past the first battle between Goku and Piccolo. He was whipping my butt for a good hour. Maybe it's just my own skills, or lack thereof in this case, but I'm calling it like I see it. Super Butoden is a very good introduction to the trilogy, but be careful when you step into the ring against the Z fighters and respectable villains in this game. Number 21, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 for the Gamecube. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 is the black sheep of the Budokai trilogy. It's not a horrible game. There are certainly positive aspects to it. The visuals have a cartoony style that is absolutely magnificent. The roster of characters is substantially improved over the original Budokai. The ultimate attacks include an offensive versus defensive system and look as good as the characters who are dealing them out. Nonetheless, it is not as good as the previous title, and there are 2 main reasons for it. On one hand, there are no cutscenes during the story, which were one of the original's highlights. On the other hand, the headliner for single-player content tries to ask the players to experience a board game for a world layout, and it just doesn't work. Budokai 1 may not have an equivalent, but the board forces Budokai 2 to feel like a game, more so than a great retelling of the anime. The core fighting mechanics are great and they receive their share of benefits, but the two misfires are too noticeable to give any leniency and place Budokai 2 higher on the list. Number 20, Dragon Ball Z Hyper Dimension for the Super Nintendo. Dragon Ball Z Hyper Dimension is another fighting game for the Super Nintendo, but it handles its combat system quite differently from the Super Butoden titles. In Hyper Dimension, your health and use of ki are dependent on each other. You can work towards a melee combo to reserve your health, or you can perform a special ki blast while sacrificing a portion of your health. There are other gameplay mechanics that I will let you discover. Additionally, the visuals are very impressive and a nice departure from the Super Butoden series. The story also takes certain unexpected turns. Hyper Dimension isn't discussed enough nowadays, and it really should be. Number 19, Dragon Ball Z Attack of the Saiyans for the Nintendo DS. Attack of the Saiyans is such a disappointment. Oh, don't worry, it's still a fantastic game. Do you sense the contradiction? Let me elaborate. Everything about the game is spectacular for an RPG title. The character models, the gameplay, the animations, the music, the depiction of the story. I thoroughly enjoyed Attack of the Saiyans. In that case, why is it a disappointment? It is because it only covers the Saiyan saga. Why? I have no idea. If this game covered up until the Frieza saga, or better yet, the entirety of Dragon Ball Z, this game would have been in my top 5 Dragon Ball Z games of all time. Attack of the Saiyans still has sufficient content for a full price purchase, but it could have been so much better. It's unfortunate that we may never get a sequel to this game in the near or far future. Number 18, Dragon Ball Z Supersonic Warriors for the Game Boy Advance. I cannot tell you how much I love the Dragon Ball Z Supersonic Warriors franchise. Exciting combat mechanics, sensational art style, and plenty of characters and modes. The game is extremely breathtaking for a Game Boy Advance title, and aside from the issue that plagues games like Raging Blast and Burst Limit, it is hard to find many faults with this game. Supersonic Warriors is at the number 18 spot on the list, but I won't blame anyone for placing it higher on their list. Simply put, there are just 17 other games with which I had more fun than the first Supersonic Warriors title. Number 17, Dragon Ball Z Budokai for the PlayStation 2. Dragon Ball Z Budokai first came to my attention via GameSpot. I remember when they posted the trailer and several gameplay clips, and at the time, I didn't own a PlayStation 2, so the only titles that I played were on the Game Boy Advance. To say that I was blown away by Budokai 1's reveal is an understatement. The game does have requirements to pull out special moves, but the game is a blast to play. Moreover, the cutscenes would impress anyone at the time of the title's launch. Dragon Ball Z Budokai is a wonderful first step in this trilogy, and it will always have a place in my heart out of sheer nostalgia. Number 16, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2 for the Nintendo Wii. The sequel to Budokai Tenkaichi on the PlayStation 2, Budokai Tenkaichi 2 is an improvement in every sense of the word. The quality of the modes, in addition to the open world layout of its story mode, is great. The roster of characters receives a major boost. The visuals are nicely improved. The combat mechanics add the necessary complexity that the series desperately needed. As a testament by the rankings of the list, Budokai Tenkaichi 2 is leaps and bounds over Budokai Tenkaichi 1. You may need some time to get accustomed to the way the camera operates during the fights, but you're in for a treat if Budokai Tenkaichi 2 is your first Dragon Ball title on the Nintendo Wii. Number 15, Dragon Ball Z Shin Budokai for the PlayStation Portable. Remember what I told you about my first impression for the first Budokai title? Well, a more positive first impression came after I watched the trailer for the first Shin Budokai title. A Budokai title on the go and it looked practically identical to the PlayStation 2 counterpart. Sign me up immediately. Although it is not completely similar to the conclusion of the Budokai trilogy, the gameplay is really fun. It also includes a burst mode where it allows you to quickly speed through an enemy's attack and knock him or her out with an elbow or kick. There is also a story mode which retells the events of one of the best Dragon Ball Z movies ever made, Fusion Reborn. I own a physical copy of Shin Budokai, and whenever I go on a road trip, I will have no problem with taking out my PlayStation Portable and making the road trip even better with a session or two of Dragon Ball Z Shin Budokai. Number 14, Dragon Ball Z Super Butoden 2 for the Super Nintendo. The best of the trilogy, Super Butoden 2 finds the perfect balance when it comes to difficulty. It is not as easy as Butoden 3, and it is not as hard as Butoden 1. Furthermore, the roster of characters has increased, the game maintains its excellent structure for the story mode, and there are outstanding beam struggles for a Super Nintendo title. Super Butoden 2 is definitely the best Dragon Ball Z fighting game for the time, and could have been the best fighting title prior to the release of the PlayStation 1. But a game came out in Japan for the Sega Saturn that stole the crown and the throne. Number 13, Dragon Ball Z Shin Butoden for the Sega Saturn. Despite its exclusive release in Japan, Dragon Ball Z Shin Butoden is the best Butoden title of all time on console. It takes the balance of Super Butoden 2, and it includes a larger roster, a larger number of modes with which you can mess around, and the same visual art style as the PlayStation 1's Ultimate Battle 22. I have my hands tied with this pick, and I cannot place it higher on the list because most players have not had the chance to play it. If it was released worldwide, it would most likely be a little higher on the list. Number 12, Dragon Ball Z The Legend for the PlayStation 1. Dragon Ball Z The Legend is placed at number 12 for one key reason: nostalgia. It is nostalgic for me, as I enjoyed it as a teenager. Nevertheless, Dragon Ball Z The Legend is still a fantastic title. The best PlayStation 1 game that is based on the Dragon Ball Z franchise, The Legend includes frantic gameplay, catchy music, and super moves that pause the gameplay to showcase their impact. The characters look somewhat questionable and the game is exclusive to Japan, but the action is solid to the point that you won't mind the lackluster design. It is not a game for everyone, but The Legend deserves a high place on my list. Number 11, Dragon Ball Z Extreme Butoden for the Nintendo 3DS. Shin Butoden may be the king of Butoden titles on console, but Extreme Butoden takes the stage as the best Butoden title ever that is available worldwide. The visuals receive a huge boost due to the Nintendo 3DS's technological specs. If you include the assisting characters, the game has the biggest roster in any Butoden title. The learning process is easy to initiate but hard to master. The game may not have had an online mode at launch, but the most recent version of Extreme Butoden is going to please any fan of the old school Butoden titles. Number 10, Dragon Ball Z Supersonic Warriors 2 for the Nintendo DS. Supersonic Warriors 2 takes everything from Supersonic Warriors 1 and not only perfects them, but adds new life improvements to create one of the best Dragon Ball Z games ever made. Utilizing the touchscreen to switch between characters, the top screen is used to display the action sequences, which are surprisingly better than the previous entry in the franchise. In-game transformations, power struggles, tag team attacks, and meteor strikes are added to the lunacy of the fights. The story is more robust than the narrative in Supersonic Warriors 1. Maximum mode allows hardcore players to further improve their skills. If you have never played either of the Supersonic Warrior games, skip the first, play the second. You will thank me later. Number 9, Dragon Ball Fighterz for the PlayStation 4. The most modern Dragon Ball Z fighting game to date, Fighterz is a tribute to the fans of the manga and fans of the fighting games in general. The animation and character models are utter perfection, as the artist used the manga for inspiration. The combat system is the definition of easy to learn, hard to master. The story mode features full voice acting and showcases interactions between certain characters that would never happen in the manga or the anime. The most startling aspect about Fighterz is the fact that each character feels unique. Playing as Beerus will feel different than playing as Krillin. Playing as Android 18 will feel different than playing as Super Saiyan Vegeta. As characters are continued to be added via paid downloadable content, the hype for Fighterz isn't stopping anytime soon. If you have been interested in the game, give it a chance. Number 8, Dragon Ball Kai Ultimate Butoden for the Nintendo DS. You're going to start seeing the word best more frequently as we go down the list from here on out. In the case of Dragon Ball Kai Ultimate Butoden, it is both the best Butoden title, period, as well as the best Dragon Ball fighting game on handheld. Yes, it is exclusive to Japan. However, the sheer quality of the game, from the combat system to the selection of modes and fighters, and to the presentation, is untouchable in the handheld community when it comes to Dragon Ball fighting games. Ultimate Butoden's exclusivity and sudden drops of frame rate prevent it from earning a top tier spot on this list, but it's surely a top tier Dragon Ball game on the handheld. Number 7, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot for the PlayStation 4. The most controversial pick on this list, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot made me happy as a fan of the anime. I don't understand the overly hateful responses to this title. To me, Kakarot is a 3D version of the Legacy of Goku games, as it plays exactly the same and has a similar open world system to the second and third entries in the trilogy. Why is Kakarot being criticized for aspects that both this title and the Legacy of Goku games do so well? I will never understand it. Anyway, let's go back on track. Kakarot is the best looking Dragon Ball Z game to date. The cutscenes in particular are awe-inspiring. Even though it is disappointing to find out that some of the key scenes in the anime, the It's Over 9000 scene for example, are not featured in Kakarot. The gameplay is not overly simplified or overly complicated. It's somewhere in between. The RPG mechanics can be addictive. I will admit that Kakarot does not have great side quests. They fall under the cliché of fetch quests. Fortunately, the game's faults are overshadowed by the title's positive points. If Kakarot 2 is ever made and they can improve on the mistakes of Kakarot 1, the sequel may be my favorite Dragon Ball Z game of all time. Number 6, Dragon Ball Fusions for the Nintendo 3DS. The core concept of Dragon Ball Fusions is straightforward. Fuse your desired characters and fight various opponents. You can actually fuse anyone. Do you want to fuse Goku and Krillin? No problem. Do you want to fuse Beerus and Tien? Go right ahead. If the fusion process was the entire game, this title would have been towards the bottom of the list. However, the gameplay and the graphics are spectacular. You're going to level up your characters, and when you face off against your enemies, you need to attack them until their health is depleted or they are out of bounds. The matches can become very intense, but they're still fair. If you fail, you will never think to yourself, this game is cheap. You will think to yourself, okay, let me level up a few more times or try different fusions and then come back and give it another go. If you own a Nintendo 3DS and like Dragon Ball Fusions is a must-buy title. You will not regret your purchase. Number 5, Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku 2 for the Game Boy Advance. It is incredible how many improvements Legacy of Goku 2 made over the original. The RPG mechanics are much more emphasized here with different abilities, upgraded statistics, and various hidden locations. You can play as multiple characters besides Goku as well. Bruce Falconer's music is in the game, which is a big bonus. The concern for grinding towards the difficult boss is gone. Character sprites are improved. As the starting point of my top 5 Dragon Ball Z video games of all time, Legacy of Goku 2 does everything it needs to do to earn itself the coveted number 5 placement. Number 4, Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan Densetsu for the Super Nintendo. The most underrated title on my list, Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan Densetsu, or The Legend of the Super Saiyan, is one hell of a game and the best card-based title in the franchise of Dragon Ball Z. The animations are awesome, the music is excellent, even if it gets repetitive at times. The combat system is dangerously amusing. I'm shocked that the game only covers the Saiyan and Frieza saga. Bandai Namco, if you're watching this video, listen. Remake or remaster this game, but include the Cell and Buu sagas. You will make a lot of money. Trust me. If you have never played Super Saiyan Densetsu for the Super Nintendo and can somehow get your hands on it, I implore you to give it the attention it deserves. Number 3, Dragon Ball Z Buu's Fury for the Game Boy Advance. The best Dragon Ball Z game on a handheld, Buu's Fury is an exceptional role-playing title and a continuation of improvements from the first 2 titles in the Legacy of Goku trilogy. The game's unlockables are superior, with special shoutouts to Vegito and Gogeta. The story covers the remainder of the Dragon Ball Z lore in addition to a few of the films. The visuals maintain their great quality from Legacy of Goku 2. There are only a few Dragon Ball Z games that I can see myself revisiting over and over again. Buu's Fury is one of them. Number 2, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 for the Nintendo Wii. The next two games are, at their foundation, interchangeable when it comes to their placement on the list. However, there is another game that I like just slightly more than Budokai Tenkaichi 3. We'll get to it shortly. For now, it is time to focus on the title with the most amount of content in any Dragon Ball game. Including transformations, Budokai Tenkaichi 3 has 161 playable characters, which can be overwhelming, quite frankly. The number of modes is also staggering, with exclusive online play for the Nintendo Wii version of the game. Speaking of which, the Wii version of Tenkaichi 3 implements motion controls extremely well. I got a kick out of every moment where I would take both of my hands with the joysticks, create the motion of a Kamehameha with my hands, and release them, only for my character in the game to follow up with a Kamehameha wave. I played this game non-stop during college, and I'm contemplating getting a Nintendo Wii specifically for this game. There is no question in my mind that Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is one of the best Dragon Ball games ever made. Nevertheless, there is one title that surpasses every other Dragon Ball game to date in terms of presentation, engagement, immersion, and pure gameplay. Number 1, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 for the PlayStation 2. I was enamored by Budokai 3 ever since I went to my friend's place for a sleepover. We played Tekken 5 for the majority of the night, and when he went to bed, I popped in Budokai 3 for the first time and fell in love with it. The game's stunning on every level. Characters, stages, open world design while going between missions, animations, ultimate attacks, the character's movement when Dragon Rush is activated, the beam struggles. I'll stop gushing over the graphical fidelity of this game. There are more characters in the game than the previous two titles. The unlockables are much more impressive and interesting to achieve. The RPG mechanics didn't only encourage multiple playthroughs of the story mode for each playable character, but also strengthened my chosen character to participate in the new Dragon Arena mode, where you fight tougher and tougher opponents. If the game had online play, which should have been the case with the Budokai HD collection, Budokai 3 will not be touched for years to come. As of now, we'll see if a Dragon Ball Z game will come out to surpass Budokai 3 as my favorite Dragon Ball game of all time. Kakarot is up there, but it doesn't hold a candle to the PlayStation 2's classic. Well folks, that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for checking it out. Which Dragon Ball game is your favorite? Which one is your least favorite? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Till next time, have a great day or evening wherever you are. My name is AS, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.